Let's go.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to our book reading this morning of The Ultimate Coach, Chapter 7, Man on a Mission. I am the first monitor along with our three team tech monitors. And Damien is on the chat. Vanessa is on tech. And between just the five of us, we are
No,
coming from three different continents.
no,
So we
no
have North
running.
America represented,
Sorry.
South America represented, and Asia represented. We are truly a global community. We welcome you all here. We invite you to be present as conscious creators as we go through our book reading. We want to thank Amy Blake Hardison, the incredible author of this Book of Being, along with Alan D. Thompson, who did all the fabulous research to put this together. We thank them both for their magnificent commitment to create this book. I know my growth from this book has been phenomenal, and I acknowledge the impact that this book has been on so many of our beings. We want to also, of course, acknowledge Steve Hardison, aka the Ultimate Coach, the Angel of Fire, for listening to Spirit to create the questions on the back of the book and the first two pages, which creates the opportunity for us to read the book about ourselves. Thank you so much, Steve, for the impact that you have consciously creating each day of our lives and each day in your lives, that we are all making a difference across this global community. We honor that this is a sacred co-created space to increase our deep experience in reading of the book, The Ultimate Coach. I really, number one, want to acknowledge each and every one of you. You are what makes this possible. This is what us all gathering together, your presence, it is valued and it is honored. Thank you. We're so happy to have Alok Appadurai as our reader for Man on a Mission. For 25 years, Alok has been what he classifies as a simple mission. Do good and make other people's lives better. This has been what he says, his guiding North Star. He is a creator of Uplifting Millions, which I just read in his post. He's shifting that, at least for he's going to be in Phoenix in August, and they're going to call that event Transcendence 2024. So you can see how things are shifting. They're moving quickly for Alok. He is the author of the book Maximum Impact Potential, and I read that this week. He had gifted it to everyone that was at the January event in Scottsdale. He gifted that to everyone. And I will tell you, it's a fabulous read. I've underlined so many golden nuggets in that book. And if you haven't read it, please take the time to get it. And I know you can get it off of Amazon. So I just wanted to say, Alok, thank you for that book. It's very, very inspirational. Alok is a powerful speaker. I heard him at the TUE in January, and his message was dynamic, easy to understand, and truly an inspiration. I'd like to ask Alok if he would say his document for us before we get started.
With absolute joy. Thank you so much for those beautiful acknowledgments. And thank you to all of you for being here on this beautiful Sunday. I am the result of the 7 generations that have come before me and the ripple effect 7 generations into the future. I'm a powerful being who creates abundance for myself and others with ease. I am the essence of love. I'm divinely guided and protected. I'm intimate by nature with all of humanity, especially my extraordinarily loving partner, Caitlin. I'm the most loving, present father to my son, Sequoia. I am that every being is deserving of my love, never my judgment. I am that I always find a way. I am my commitment to plant 1 billion trees during my lifetime and fund $1 billion of 0% loans to women entrepreneurs around the world. I am guided by God. I am the essence of all of creation. This is who I am, and my parents' name be Alok.
Beautiful. Alok, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing your mission with us. Thank you for being you. I'd like to invite everyone as a possibility to just take a moment and within your heart, just acknowledge what is your mission? What comes to you? Why are you here? What is the uniqueness that you have to bring forth for each person that you step in front of? And I want you to think about that, get clear on your mission. And in a moment, Damien's going to open up the chat and allow everyone to write your mission in there, but I don't want you to push send. So Damien, if you can open that up and everyone put your mission in the chat and just hold and just kind of sit in the essence of your mission. Damien, if you can give me a thumbs up, is the chat open?
Okay. Is the chat open? I didn't close it. It's open.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
They opened it. No,
All
I
right.
didn't.
Okay. So the chat is open. If everyone can just write your mission in there, hold for a second.
I pressed the button by mistake. I'm so sorry. I didn't follow the rules.
Alex, you are forgiven. It's, when you're out there in outer space, sometimes it's a little distorted. We love
All
you.
bets are off in the other realms.
I love that. Ah. So sit inside your mission. Hold that in your heart. And we'll take like another 10 seconds and then you can all send your mission forward. Okay. 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Wow.
Oh. To love, lead, and light the way, to bring the best in others. Wow. To heal, to serve. My mission is to be a vessel of transformation. I am here as love for the world. Creating financial empowerment. My mission is to love and serve millions. See the light in people, darkness. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for sharing. I would also like to have Damien, if you can put the reflection sheet in the chat. This season, we have a reflection sheet. And if you like to take notes and kind of keep track of the golden nuggets, this is a great way to do that. Damien's going to put a link to that and you can run it off and use that. Place it in a notebook, and then you can go back and find all these wonderful things that we're going to connect to today. We encourage you to listen deeply for those golden nuggets. Many of us are in the process of creating our documents. Some have our documents created, and perhaps these golden nuggets that we hear today will be a springboard to create another line of your document or to reshift something in your document, because that document is a living document. As you move through your life, you can create different changes, and we encourage you to do that if it feels right for you today. This journey to your heart begins with listening about you. And as you listen to the words written about you, please allow insights to come up. Allow for all feelings, whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable. Allow your soul to be stirred. From this space, please enjoy the essence, the true essence of who you are, the essence that each of us encourages you to be. We request that when you read, that you read about you. We request that when you listen, that you listen about you. And we request that when it's time to share, that you share about you. I'm going to turn it over to our second moderator, Farah. And I just found out yesterday that Farah means happiness. So in the spirit of happiness, Farah, take it away.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes, it means happiness in Arabic. So I'm really blessed that my parents chose that name. That's what I choose to be. Welcome, everyone. Can I just say that it's incredible seeing some faces I know and some new faces. So welcome today. And I would love to get us all started. Thank you, Kathleen, for what a takeoff this was for us to think about a mission that's close to our heart. And how blessed we are to be here in community, and such an honor to read the book of being and to explore what emerges for us today as we dive into this chapter, chapter 7, Man on a Mission. And a man on a mission who is focused on being is Alok Apudurai. And I would love to share this today that in 2022, Alok introduced me to being. And in a webinar, I listened to him in the first 5 minutes. He was sharing his document and he said, you know what? There's a hack for being, and it's this book. This is the best book on being. And that's where my whole journey started. So Alok, thank you. I have seen what it takes to wake up to a mission that is bigger than ourselves. So you have been instrumental, Alok. And today, I'm also on a path of elevating the consciousness of the planet through being and through my coaching. So thank you for being the catalyst. So welcome everyone to today's book reading. And I would like to invite you, if you have a physical copy of the book, to please share it. Let me see. I'd love to see. I think there are 2 screens, so I'd like someone to help me if I miss this. So a lot of us have our books, and I can see Damien really loving that as well. Damien. So here's my invitation. Is there someone who's joining us for the very first time today? Can you put your hand up if you're joining for the very first time for a book reading? All right. So I don't see anyone here. So
see
that's
Zoe actually raised her hand at the bottom. I don't know if you see her.
okay.
Zoe?
Zoe. Okay, Zoe, sorry, you were on my second screen. Thank you. Is this your first book reading, Zoe? Welcome. Would you like to unmute? Would you like to unmute, Zoe? Can she unmute? Damien, can she unmute?
She can unmute.
She can? Okay.
Yes.
So we can't hear you as yet. So when you do, please let me know if this is your first time here and if you'd like to read either the back of the book or the front 2 pages. So today the invitation is to see who is feeling inspired to put your hand up to begin this by choosing to read the back of the book or the front 2 pages. And then we have Matt Alok to read the chapter. So let me see some hands up. Okay, Steve, I see your hand up. And is there anyone else who would like to read? Wanda. Thank you, Wanda. All right. Steve, can I invite you? Chris? Chris, hi, Chris. Would you like to unmute? Can you unmute?
I was just offering to read wherever you needed me to.
Okay. All right. So, Chris, have you been here before in the book reading? I haven't seen you, so.
A couple months ago.
Okay.
So I've made one or two.
Oh, that's great that you're back again. And so let me see who would like to read the front or the back of the book. Steve Shaw, you put your hand up. Would you like to read that? Fantastic. And between Chris and Wanda, I'm going to pick one. And may I just pick Chris because I'm seeing you for the first time. Would you please read the front 2 pages of the book, and then we will have Alok to read the chapter, Man on a Mission. And Wanda, I'd love to hear from you. Is that something that you're okay with? We'd love to hear from you, right after the book reading. Thanks, everyone. Here is an invitation for us that when we're reading the book, the chapter, the back of the book, the front 2 pages, as you listen, the invitation is to see which of those questions really resonate with you. And if any question resonates for you, please feel free to share it in the chat. And you can use that question to focus the rest of the reading. So that's the way we'll go today. And I'd love to get it all started. Let's take it away. Steve Shaw, we'll start with you. Chris, you're next, and then Alok. Thanks so much.
Okay, great. Dear potential reader, as you may have noticed, there are no testimonials on the back cover of this book imploring you to read it. I vetoed that. The only testimonial I am interested in is the one you will have from reading and experiencing this book. Please do not read this book about me. Read this book about you. Read it about being. As you read, ask yourself, who would I need to be a more loving person? Who would I need to be a more effective parent? Who would I need to be to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? Who would I need to be at peace with who I am? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? Who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can live? I promise you that if you read this book with that intention, with the intention of expanding your state of being, you will do exactly that. Your experience will be remarkable. Who you are being is everything. Loving you, be blessed, be you, Steve Hardison.
All right, then I'll just jump in. Before you begin, Steve Hardison, that's the correct spot, right? Okay. No, thank you for reading the back cover and the first 2 pages each time before you read this book. I never wanted to write a book, and I haven't. I never wanted to have a book written about me, but here it is. This book is a gift from my wife, Amy, who wrote it, and my friend Ellen D. Thompson, who conducted the research and interviews on which it is based. And it's not just a gift to me, but to you too. And now you're reading it. So with your permission, I'll give you some suggestions on how to read it. You see, this isn't an ordinary book. It's not simply a biography. It's not a self-help book. It's not a literary classic. It's definitely not a book about how to coach. In fact, it's not a book about doing anything. It's a book about being. And it's a book about you. To access this book, ask yourself these questions as you read. Who am I being as a partner, parent, or friend? Who am I being as a leader? Who am I being as a member of my community? Who would I need to be to have miracles show up in my daily life? Who would I need to be to create value in the work that I do? Who would I need to be to generate a life of abundance? Who would I need to be to alter my relationship with fear? Who would I need to be at peace with my past? Who would I need to be to step powerfully into my future? Who would I need to be present as a way of being? Who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can live? Who would I need to be to know that my life makes a difference? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? Who would I need to be to improve my relationship with the most important people in my life? Who would I need to be to read The Ultimate Coach and have a personal breakthrough in being wonderful me? The best part about this book about you, is that it is endless. The story goes on, and it's written by your being. Love you, be blessed, be you, Steve Hardison. P.S. Remember, every time you reread this book, please read the back cover and the first 2 pages before you begin. If you do this, your experience of this book will be totally different. SFH, KAB.
Alok.
Chris, thank you so much for that. What a wonderful joy to remember the beginning of your journey in this journey. Such a joy to be with everybody. I'm going to just ask for a little bit of an audible before I pick up the book. And I need to give a little context, a little frame here for all of you, for me being in this moment. Tanya reached out to me a few days ago. I'm in a pretty challenging circumstance. The Man on a Mission chapter could not be more apt. And I just want a presence right now. I can probably fall into tears. So I'm going to ask just everybody to be with me if you're okay with that. I am a man on a mission, literally in this very moment. I'm sitting here in my niece's bedroom in my cousin's home, and I have flown across the country because right now, right underneath my 2 feet, I have a nephew who basically won't leave the apartment down there. And he's been in a 4-year deep cloud. So my mission on this particular day is to show up for that boy. And I'm going to present his name, which is Nigel Benjamin Copps. And I'm going to ask all of you, if you feel it in your heart, to send some love to this beautiful boy, most beautiful boy, Nigel Benjamin Copps. And I'm on a mission to call in an absolute miracle. He's 15 feet underneath me, and I cannot get through the door. So I will try again today. But that is my mission today. We get caught up in such big missions, but it's in the moments of our mission. Danya said, Alok, I know you're going through it. Can you not show up on Sunday? And I said, no, I'm going to honor my agreement. And now I'm realizing why, because I get to enroll all of you on behalf of Nigel Benjamin Copps. So thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Woo! The second thing I'm going to say is I may talk on huge stages, speak in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Reading is not the easiest thing for me. So I'm going to ask that you be very gentle with my reading. I'm going to give you everything I got in this moment. Let's roll. Whew. And this is life, everybody. A man on a mission. Missions are an integral part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They have their own language and culture. Without a brief explanation, Steve's mission experience would be enigmatic to all but members of his church. Young men of good standing in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are expected to serve a mission when they are 18. Girls can serve a mission, but it is optional. Missionaries do not choose where they go. They receive a letter, now an email, that tells them where they have been called to serve. Often, they need to learn a new language. They serve for 2 years. They are not paid for their work. They pay their own living expenses. A missionary leaves his young adult life behind. At the time Steve served his mission, a missionary communicated with his family only by letter. He could call home only on Christmas and Mother's Day. A missionary does not date. He doesn't watch television. He doesn't return home for weddings or funerals. He is always with his companion, another missionary who is assigned to be his coworker. These two missionaries form what is called a companionship. They work together, study together, eat together, and live in the same apartment. Missions are divided into geographic areas. The smallest is called an area. It is the place where a missionary is assigned to live and work. Several of the areas make a district. Several districts constitute a zone. Several zones create a mission. In a companionship, one missionary is the senior missionary. Missionary companionships that are particularly effective, obedient, and hardworking will serve in leadership capacities as district leaders and then zone leaders. The top missionaries of the mission serve as assistants to the presidents. Mission presidents are men who are called to serve for 3 years without pay to oversee the mission. A mission president is accompanied by his wife and children, if they happen to have children under the age of 18. They are the only adults providing supervision for the approximately 200 missionaries in their mission. The mission president assigns the missionary companionships. Typically, he will change the companionships every 6 or 12 weeks, though there are exceptions. A missionary's objective is to teach the principles and precepts of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Those who accept these teachings join the faith through baptism. Baptism is performed for those who are 8 years old or older. Missionaries may provide support in helping a family transition into involvement in the church. But with baptism, their primary responsibility is complete. Within the church's belief system, there's still one more step. They believe families will continue to exist in heaven. For this to happen, they must receive sacred ordinances in their temples. This is the pinnacle of their faith. Steve had been checking the mailbox daily. Finally, the oversized white envelope with the words, "The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints," in the upper left corner arrived. He didn't wait to gather family or friends. He went straight to Grandma Ellen, and together they opened the letter that would chart the next 2 years of Steve's life. He read the words, "You are hereby called to be a missionary to labor in England, London, South Mission. You are scheduled to enter the mission home in Salt Lake City on Saturday, 12th October, 1974. We ask that you please send your written acceptance promptly." Steve's first thought was, "I'm teaching the Beatles. I'm teaching the Queen." I love that part. Steve's first visit was to Brother Fraser, whose wake-up call had set Steve on a path that few would have predicted. Steve's pace on that path was about to hit Mach speed. 3 months later, Steve landed at Heathrow Airport. He was eager to plunge into one of the greatest experiences of his life. He was committed to not waste a minute. It was a commitment he made the minute he determined to serve a mission. His commitment ratcheted up when his congregation stepped up to help finance his mission expenses. Reality hit quickly and it hit hard, Steve recalls. I remember my first week in my first area. I was in Leighton Buzzard, a little village about 50 miles north of London. It looked like somebody rolled the clock back 200 years. I was thousands of miles away from my home, my family, and anything that was familiar. I was tired. I was overwhelmed. I was scared. I was homesick. I was lonely. I was experiencing major culture shock. I remember kneeling down to pray and crying, but trying to hide it from my missionary companion. I didn't cover it up very well because about 10 minutes later, he said, "Pray your heart out, elder. Pray your heart out." Serving as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not easy, but it is simple. There's only one thing to do: share the gospel of Jesus Christ for 10 to 12 hours a day. Before the 10-hour shift of knocking on doors and talking to people begins, the missionary and his or her companion spend a couple of hours studying the scriptures and the lessons they will teach. They have an allotted time for the routine parts of life, like showering and meal prep. Most of Steve's meals consisted of Weetabix, cold cereal. Sounds delicious. Why waste time on meal prep when there are people to teach and lives to change? Isn't that a heck of a line? This led some of his companions to call and beg the mission president to be transferred. This guy doesn't even stop to eat. That is so Steve Hardison, isn't it? Missionaries spend their days talking to people on the streets. Walking up to complete strangers and starting a conversation out of the blue was daunting for many missionaries, especially when they were new. Steve, however, was in his seventh heaven. He loved meeting people. He was never at a loss for something clever or fun to say. He was talking the birds out of the trees. Missionaries also knocked on a lot of doors. This is called tracting. It can be hard. Missionaries get a lot of doors slammed in their face. This can be demoralizing. Steve had become inured to knocking on doors and rejection years before, when he sold donuts and magazine subscriptions. This was no different, except now he had something much more valuable to offer. One day, Steve looked around at the town where he was tracting and realized that missionaries had been tracting there since 1842. If he wanted someone to listen to him, he had better get creative. Steve and his companion, Paul Waite, knocked on a door. The woman who answered didn't even open the door. She flicked open the mail slot and said, "We know who you are. We aren't interested." Steve said, "My name is Elder Hardison. What is your name?" "Doreen Crook," she responded. "Is your husband home? Could we talk to him?" asked Steve. "I'm ironing his trousers. He's not available. He's in the back room with his trousers down." "You're telling me that you have a crook in your house with his trousers down and you haven't called the police yet?" Steve could hear a man laughing. "Let them in," Mr. Crook said as he slipped on his pants. Steve baptized Mr. and Mrs. Crook and 5 of their 7 children. Steve loved missionary work and he made it fun. Missionaries in Steve's mission, which included London and its southern suburbs, tracked in a lot of apartment buildings. Sometimes Steve would have his companion walk up one flight of stairs above Steve. Steve would knock on the door, and when someone answered, he would say, "We are here to tell you about a book from heaven." On that cue, his companion would drop a Book of Mormon and it would land in Steve's hands. Every now and again, the book would hit Steve's glasses and knock them off kilter. Steve had fun, but never at the expense of working hard and working effectively. Scott Parker, who served with Steve in the England-London South Mission, says, "Steve was the same height he is now, but take off about 40 pounds, maybe 50 pounds. He was very skinny. I mean, not just lanky, but skinny on skinny. But he was fearless. He was fun. He was funny. He was incredibly articulate. He was dynamic. He was hardworking. He was very diligent. There was no screwing around. There was no playtime. What happens when fearless, funny, and indefatigable unite? Steve was far away the most effective missionary I've ever experienced," says Scott. "He outfound, outtaught, and outbaptized everyone in the mission." One day, Steve and his companion met a woman named Julia Burgess. She was receptive and was later baptized. Years later, when Steve and Amy returned to England and visited Julia, their conversation turned to their first meeting. Julia asked, "Did I ever tell you the rest of the story?" She hadn't. The night before Steve met Julia, she was sitting on her front porch smoking a cigarette. She was divorced and was raising 2 young boys. There wasn't enough money for their basic needs. Julia was exhausted and discouraged. It all seemed like too much. She groaned a prayer. "God, if you are there, you're going to have to tell me. You're going to have to help me. Otherwise, I'm going to end it all." Steve and his companion knocked on her door the next morning. When she asked, they told her they had a message from God. Steve's 2 years were filled with experiences like these. These years were a period of intense growth. Steve drew close to God. He used and developed every talent he had. He found that the difficult events of his life had deepened his soul and enabled him to understand and empathize with peoples whose lives were difficult. Isn't that such a gift, everybody? Steve's talents were evident. It wasn't long before Steve was given leadership positions. Steve served with two different mission presidents, Donald Livingstone and Richard Eyre. Typically, mission presidents are mature men in their 50s or 60s. Sometimes they are in their 40s. Richard Eyre was 31. Eyre was a Harvard-trained management consultant and a truly extraordinary man. After his 3-year service as a mission president, Richard and his wife Linda wrote Teaching Your Children Values, which was the first family and parenting book in 50 years, since Dr. Spock, to reach #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. They were named by President Reagan in the 1980s to direct the White House Conference on Children and Parents. They have appeared on Oprah's television show. Richard Eyre exerted a powerful influence on Steve's life. Here are Richard and Linda's account of meeting Steve in their own words. Linda Eyre. Steve Hardison was the first smile I saw as we disembarked from our very long flight to London with our 4 little children, age 5 and under. We had flown throughout the night from Salt Lake City, and I was bleary-eyed and exhausted. I had never dealt with jet lag, as this was my first overseas flight, and sparing the details, I will say that it had not been a pleasant experience. With 4 needy preschoolers in tow, and a husband excited for the task ahead, even though he was only about 10 years older than many of the missionaries, I must admit to being a bit daunted. I was about to be a mission mom to 200 young missionaries, which for starters meant learning their names, a little about their families, their hometowns, and a bit about their lives, as well as learning to run a new home, which involved feeding multitudes of missionaries and dignitaries. That beaming smile of Steve's saved me that day. He was so kind and encouraging to me while engaging so enthusiastically with our kids. Richard Eyre. We were young ourselves at the time. I was 31 and Linda was 28. Our flight was met by the 2 assistants to the mission president, the 2 top leaders of the 200 missionaries serving in the south of England. Their names were Glenn Foreman and Steve Hardison. While they had been chosen by my predecessor, it quickly became apparent to me that they would have been my selections as well. Steve was the younger of the 2, just 21 years old, and was in the final few months of his missionary service. He had the respect and allegiance of the missionaries he led, particularly the middle management of the missions district leaders and zone leaders. He also knew all the missionaries and had perspective and accurate opinions and assessments of their abilities and of their strengths and weaknesses. I leaned a lot on Steve and on his knowledge and insights. I felt like he had particular gifts in listening and evaluating. This not only helped me lead the mission, it made him a good teacher, assistant, and counselor, far beyond his years in his maturity, responsibilities, and abilities. It was clear even then that he was more interested in people and in helping others succeed than in compiling personal accomplishments and accolades. Steve brought all of his focus, intensity, and passion to his missionary work. He never squandered a minute. His dedication was total and complete. Every day of his mission, he prayed, God, I'm giving everything I've got. Every day I'm teaching people about eternal families. Please, when I get home, help me find someone I can create a loving and eternal family with.
Thank you, Alok. Firstly, I'd like us all to take a moment to just sit with what is emerging for us as we listen to Steve Shaw, Chris, and Alok take us through this fascinating reading. And I just want to honor you, Alok, for being here and for sharing, the mission you're on. And we're all there, completely aligned to that, and praying for Nigel. I also want to thank you for reframing what a mission can look like. You know, we could look at a mission as something huge, and today you just brought us to thinking about, you know, it could be a mission that we are serving today, right this moment. So thank you for that. Yeah.
My honor, my absolute honor.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I want to also say, you said you're a great speaker, but something about reading, I was just laughing through the book reading. You just made it come alive, and I was reading while you're reading about Steve, and I had Steve in my mind, and I was reading it about me, and where do I, you know, speak until I can get the birds. You know, I was just thinking of all the things that, you know, where do I put my focus, intensity, and passion, and so I was really, really enjoying that. So thank you for making it come so alive for each one of us. And now we would use this time for us to share. So before we get down to do that, I want to invite you to just listen deeply to your heart and listen to what's emerging for you as we read this together. What are the stories that are playing back? You know, what is triggering you from this chapter? And we've had Kathleen doing some incredible work about non-useful thoughts. And this season, we're looking at how can we deepen this today in every book reading to see what are some non-useful thoughts that came up for us when we read this. What intrigued you so much as you listened about you? So my invitation is for you to share what comes up for you, and in the sharing to explore what the real truth is for you, right? What is the, probably even the I am statement that has emerged today? So we can help each other to go deeper in our own understanding of being today, right? So let's get started. I would like to invite Steve Shaw. And Steve Shaw, is there something that you'd like to share that came up for you as you read the back of the book today?
Yeah, yeah. The idea of his of Steve's being unafraid and unabashed to go knocking on doors and sharing his vision, because you know part of what I do is you know, teach people about finances and get them to share, you know, the idea of like everyone has an opportunity to to become financially empowered. And but sharing that vision, it's always been, you know, not always been, but it's not as unabashed as Steve is. So that's how I was like, wow, that would be a great way, you know, seeing myself and being able to, you know, make, you know, create fun out of it, right? Create fun, like dropping those Bibles down. That's kind of crazy. That's awesome. That, you know, that's so, so that's how I see creating myself in a way where I share myself openly and without hesitation. That's kind of part of my, I create with compassion and ease. That's part of my document. So that's what was coming up for me today. This idea of being able to share with myself openly. And I love what Alok had to say about the mission, that too, Farrell, like you said, about being on a mission today. Like today, my mission is, and to show up with energy like that, and to be really causing the matter, right? Like I can affect someone's life, right? Like that woman who was sitting there praying to God. So, and if you see that, if you take that energy, that's how I feel like. If I can take that energy that I'm reading these pages, um, that's really helping me. So I'm glad I'm on this call today. And I didn't look to see who was on here, so I was really happy to see Alok coming here because I love his energy. And I'm on his call on Thursday. Anyway, thanks. That's it. I'm complete.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. That's such a powerful insight for you. And what fun it would be to live a life where you can create with ease and unabashedness, as you said, without hesitation. And I love you sharing about creating miracles. And I must say, I heard that from Alok as well. How can I be a miracle maker? And I shifted something for myself, like, my every day, I want to create a miracle in one person's life. So I want to say that this is how we're creating ripples, even by being here. We're we're choosing who we want to be. And I love that, what you shared. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Even without knowing Alok will be here. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you, Farah. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks. Chris, would you like to share what emerged for you as you read the front of the book and you were on this call with us?
Yeah. Again, yeah. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Alok, and thanks the Team Tuck. I know it's a heavy lift to get all this stuff put together. So, and thank you, Tanya, for your leadership on this. I appreciate how you show up for me. So, yeah, and Alok, you're a great reader. of all the things, like don't so um the one that it's interesting, I'm reading on my phone, and the one that came up, the one that I have highlighted different is who am I being as a member of my community, right? And the Tuck community has really become my community, and it's a place that's allowed me to show up and be my authentic self, and kind of step into some different leadership aspects of it, and to just be asked without what are all your what are your credentials, what are I wasn't asked what college did you go to, how long have you been doing X, Y, or Z. It was just like, hey, can you show up and hold space for people in this way? And you know so that's just interesting that it was highlighted different. But I really like the playfulness that the reading comes into. I do drop-ins on businesses. I walk into doors, and for me, I'm such a serious person, focused, intense. I, and so maybe that's just that playfulness is I can create, and I, a lot of times get in my own mind where I talk myself out of stuff, and so just to bring that kind of energy of love and fun, and to wherever I go, not just in my house and with my kids and with my friends, but that's kind of what resonated on me, is how people, how can I bring that type of energy everywhere I go, because it's something that resonates with me. So that was definitely what I kind of got out of that reading, is that. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I see that playfulness is resonating for you, and that's available, right, to all of us. And it's what do you want? I remember being on a call and with one of my peers from a school that I've been part of. And I remember him saying that on this call, I'm going to only talk about what I want to have more of, not what I don't have, because that's available to me. And that really shifted, because then I stopped looking at, I don't have that. And it was like that. It was energy in motion for me. It just changed. And I feel that when I listen to you, and I feel that when I listen to Alok, that energy shifts when I'm looking at what do I want more of, and playfulness. So who do I need to be to create that? And I think that is where I'm loving what you're sharing, because I have some of those questions that arise for me. So thank you for sharing your insight. I'm looking forward to seeing you more on these calls. I just felt like calling. I hadn't seen you before, so I invited you to read. So it was amazing listening to you. It was powerful. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Just one last thing. Hey guys, I just pressed buy for my airfare to Birmingham on this call. So got 4 people coming to Birmingham. Love you,
That's
Matt. See you here in a
amazing.
couple. See you in a couple of days.
I'm waiting to hug you as well, Chris. I've committed to being there as well. So thank you. Alok, again, thank you for being here. And I'd love to invite you now to share what's emerging for you as you read this chapter today.
I was reminded, 2 things came up for me. Thank you so much for the opportunity. 2 things came up for me. One was the the openness to the unknown, right? It's like you're going to get a letter and you don't know what place you're going to be assigned. And, you know, so much of life, right? Isn't that such a, like, so, are we open to the unknown, or do we stay in the comfort of what's known? Right. So I just love that we're being reminded of that energy of um, openness to that unknown and excitement into the unknown. And then the third part, the second piece was, and just drafting off what Chris was saying, I was just reminded of the distinction between taking joy out of human connection, sorry, taking joy out of creating human connection, having a lens that it could be fun, right? How could we benefit more, whether it's in our businesses, our own missions, all of our missions? You know, there's a line that I read recently, which is everything you could ever desire to have or experience in your life will come through other people. Everything, not some things, everything. Everything will come through other people. So if it's not some things will come through other people, everything will come through other people, well, then we may as well be inspired to create beautiful human connection. And yet so many of us kind of struggle to create those bridges. So the fun factor that he had to make the creation of human connection fun. That's what I got.
Those are two very powerful ways of being, and I see you living that. I think that's what I remember every time I've been connected with you. I see that playfulness and that there is that ease of bringing yourself into the space. So I love that. And you know, when you said openness to the unknown, it reminded me of the ultimate coach experience in Mumbai. And when I was creating that in with a team, all the people who were coming to that, they wanted to know what's going to happen on that day. And like, I remember we were asking, what is the agenda? And I think that was the biggest learning for me, because that was the unknown, you know, for us to move away from that and just go there and create it, right? So create that for yourself with your listening and who you're being, and you elevate who you're being there. And so there was a huge learning from there. And I find that's the resistance I find sometimes, like I'm going for something like a retreat. And, you know, when I don't know what exactly is going to happen, there's this like whole resistance. And then it's about surrendering to not knowing. And that it's magical as you speak, you know, the fun and the joy. I love that. And thank you for
Keep them
sharing that.
guessing.
Keep them guessing, Matt. Yes. You got us guessing with your last post. Thank you for being here, Matt. And thank you, Alok.
My absolute honor to be here.
Yeah. I am going to now turn it to all of you, and I see a lot of hands up. So let me go with who I see on my screen on the left, on the top. Ralph. Ralph, would you like to unmute and share what's emerging for you today? What are you
I'd
hearing
love
about
to.
you?
Thank you. About me, I looked at the questions and I reframed them as who am I being as a leader to make a difference in our community, families, and young people's lives. And then I added, and their mental health. And there's so much to share, so this will just be a brief beginning. I want to celebrate the power of this community and the power of possibility. So I also took away that this is the perfect moment for creation. And this is the perfect moment for creation for Damien. And I'll just give a little bit of context. Alok, my birthday is 13th of April, 1978. So I've also just turned 46. And I also have an ongoing struggle with my brother, as I communicated to you, who also became unwell around 15, 16. And there's so much I could say to this, but one of the things with mental health is stigma. As soon as there's a question of, are we doubting somebody's mind or are they doubting their own mind? There's huge stigma. And conventionally, that can take a long time to work through. But because we have the power of creation of this community, I would just focus on a few things. That stigma needs to be removed, first and foremost, for the young man we're championing, Damien. We need to bring fun back into his life and creation, let him know that we can remove the stigma, let him know that there's a wealth of resources and his family and loved ones. And they're very rich resources, very, very powerful resources with specialism in mental health, the specialism that lives in this community. And the beauty is we are working on being for young people for Birmingham, and we have a lot of the powerful creators right here. So what I took away from the chapter also is Steve's humor in his mission, that he learned about serving people, and that in serving each person in one unique moment in time, we have the opportunity for change. And that's all that's needed. I've said this on previous calls, but there's a reggae song that says we have 2 arms, 2 legs, but just 1 head. So the beauty will be to have our heads aligned with our hearts, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and being. And how do we create that, especially for those who are second guessing their mind? Another quote from a hip hop group I followed is, "The mind is a terrible thing to waste." And the mind is inhabited by a person who is surrounded by community. So I finish by coming back to the question, who am I, or who are we being as leaders to make a difference in our communities, families, and young people's lives and their mental health? And there's so much more to be said, but it just feels so aligned that the young people leaders are here. You're here a lot. We literally started our journey on this earth in such an epoch of time, and we have this common struggle. My brother's a few years younger than me. It's been a lifetime struggle. I have so much to share, and I'm sure many do, of how we can make that struggle less protracted and create joy and love and possibility. And I know that for everyone that's new or not as in so deep in this community is infinitely powerful and beautiful and has all the resources to not save anyone, but support them into their own true power. I tried to say that succinctly. I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Beautiful to be here.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. You touched something so powerful, that the moment is now, and we are powerful creators. We can create that in community. We can create that impact. As you were saying, it's all about serving, right? And we don't know the impact of our service in the world unless we get started. And we have this beautiful community as well. So we're not alone. I love that. Thank you for sharing that very, very authentic share. And yeah, I want to invite Otto Collins. I have had the honor of spending the last 6 months with Otto in an amazing experience. And today, seeing you here, Otto, it's beautiful. Welcome, and love to hear what emerged for you, Otto.
Laura, thanks so much for that. And it's been great to be with you in the school as well. And I want to honor everyone else's time. I've got so much to say. Today has been phenomenal for me. First, something quick about the back cover reading. I've read the back cover hundreds of times, as have others. And for some reason today, the question, who would I need to be to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? That question just popped out at me for some reason. And when questions pop, for me, there's usually an answer that comes pretty quickly if I'm open to the guidance. Sometimes I'm not open to the guidance, but today it was pretty quick. And the answer was just accept the truth of who you are. And confidence is not something you have to get or to go for. It's just an extension of who you are being when you accept and live from the truth of who you are. And that's what I got from that. And there's one other thing I wanted to share that was really powerful for me. And I just want to appreciate the readers, you know, um, Chris and Steve, fabulous. And Alok, there's a Power of Eight group, Power of Eight intention and prayer group. With your permission, I will put Nigel to the front tonight for our Power of Eight prayer group, with your permission. So please let me know if that is something you would wish, and we will hold Nigel in our prayers, thoughts, and intentions. What struck me about the reading, was there was a line, and again, I've read this chapter many times. Missionaries do not choose where they go. Wow. So the fact that I know that, in the chapter it said, they receive an email now they receive an email that tells them where they've been called to serve. And I was thinking about, if you were to have asked me 35 years ago if I would ever be teaching about love, if I would ever be a coach, if I would ever be someone working at a bank, I would have thought you had lost your mind, because none of those things would have been even a remote possibility for me. And, especially writing books and so forth. I mean, I was the one that used to call the English teacher in high school names. And now along with my wife, we've written all these books and so forth. And so, I've taken the craft of writing and gotten serious about it. But this part here about not choosing where they go, that was so powerful for me, because I don't get emails and I don't get letters, but what I do get is I get what I call the voice of God, or the voice of spirit, or my spirit guides that actually speak to me. I can hear them audibly. And that's what happens with me. And as I'm looking here at the worksheet, which I've never seen, unhelpful thoughts, I'm not serving the spirit as deeply as possible. It implies somehow I'm not honoring what the spirit wants through me deeply enough. The truth is, I am living and sharing love already, much more than I know, I think, and I see. And somehow the one final thing, the term of baptized, I thought, what if more people allowed themselves to be baptized by love? Wouldn't the world be a much better place if they allowed themselves to be baptized by love? Thanks to everybody. I haven't been in this group much lately, and thanks for listening, and look forward to everybody else's comments.
Otto, thank you. Thank you for that very, very powerful share, and for sharing how you have moved away from those unhelpful thoughts through this chapter, and created something so powerful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Damien, would you like to go next?
I got shocked. I'm looking at it go in order.
That's how I'm seeing it. I don't know if that's the order, but I'm seeing that on my screen.
There's no.
Yeah, and I have Dave Orton and Maria next.
I gotta take this in for a second. There's a lot. I make a lot of jokes. I do a lot of kidding around. I don't know if you have. I know Alok. I saw him at Arizona. I don't ever met. I haven't spoke or anything. It's like my mind wanted to say something before, a little I understand Alok's from Manhattan, is that correct?
Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, but yes, moved a
East
lot.
Coast, East Coast. Okay, we're neighbors. Okay, so Brooklyn, California now. You know, I always like to make fun. I call this God's gym. And God is the funniest person in the world because he has the best joke. Me. We're the best joke of God. So I'm gonna throw some stuff out there. Like Steve, Steve was getting drunk, he was messing up, and then the priest or whatever he's called had him read, and Steve stopped drinking. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm good. I'm gonna be good. And he goes away. And then he was crying and breaking down in the middle. When he first went away. But it's all about change. So yeah, I spoke to Steve a couple of times. Well, yeah, he's a live ball of fire. But the joke for me is I question myself, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And I don't know if you know my story, whatever the story is, but I'll tell you some of it. This is what I find funny. I read, who do I need to be to be who do I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can live? Now, I thought that was having a good business, financially good, the happy, successful. And here's the joke. It's bullshit. It has nothing to, this is, I got turned around today. It has to do with your nephew. Okay. God drops a lot of one-liners. You don't know. So this is the first time I highlighted in the book. He found that the difficult event of his life. Wow, hold on. He found that the difficult event of his life had deepened his soul and enabled him to understand and empathize with people whose lives were difficult. So the joke is, who do I need to be to live an extraordinary life? And I saw in the chat that Matt's going to speak to kids in high school. Okay. So I was questioning, and I don't know if I heard my story, look, whatever the story is. So talking to a kid in high school to speed things up, like what your nephew's going through. I worked with people who were very, very stuck. I use sarcastic humor because I don't give a shit where you're at. I care where you want to go. And they can see that. As funny, well, you'll get it and people will get it. It's funny about your nephew because when Matt said he's going to speak to kids in a high school, this is what woke me up. And I've been fighting. I kept thinking extraordinary is to work with normal people, enough working with the worst of the worst, being selfish that I woke them up. I spoke at a high school, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and this kid tried to kill himself 4 times in 6 months. And it was in a sober living classroom. I never heard of that. So to speed things up, I got in the kid's face and I said, how old are you? He said, 15. And he was goth, all black and everything. So the end of the story was, let me back up 1 second. There's a line in my document, and this got so fucking loud. I listen for the light in people's darkness. So New York vocabulary, I don't give a fuck where you are. Where do you want to go? So the kid that tried to kill himself 4 times in 6 months, I said, but who are you? He said, I'm a depressant. I said, how depressed do you get? I tried to kill myself 4 times in 6 months. I waited, and he saw there's nothing. No, people could smell if there's judgment. No judgment, no nothing. I says, you know why you get depressed? And he leans in like I'm gonna tell him a magic fucking answer. I said, the reason you get depressed is who gives a shit? And look, he fucking lost it. He got the joke. I get depressed. It's not okay to get depressed. I'm gonna kill myself. That is the stupidest fucking thing in the world. And he laughed like, but the thing is, the reason I'm saying this is, I mean, I would like to talk later, however I can help. I don't have no idea. This is the joke. God, like, I've been questioning. I think I need to go with outside what I know. And this is reminding me, this might sound crazy. It's like I have no sadness for your nephew. I can just see I see the little, what do you call that? You know? I can see that, and he could probably see that. Whatever. I'm just so it's this. My brain is getting rattled. I think I need to go another direction. And the God is like, "What are you doing?" You know. Matt mentions high school. You got this nephew. I read this one line. Pete, you can't learn this. When you're like fuck life, you can't. Certificates don't help. So, and you said, and I'm gonna leave it with this that you said. This is the biggest joke God said to me. Everything will come through other people. Do you know how I got here? Had a pizzeria dealing pizza, pot, and cocaine. Had a cousin visit from California, and I'm here. That one thing would not be here with everybody. So I'm going to leave it with that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Damien. And that's so powerful because you're not looking outside of yourself. Now you're looking deep within. You have it within you, and all that, heading off elsewhere, you're directing it back to who you're being, and that's powerful. Thank you for
Thank
helping
you.
us see where your mind was going and what you're settling with. So thank you. I'm going to invite Dave Orton, my friend Dave. Lovely to see you.
Great to be with you too. Kind of lovely.
Dave, I can't hear you. Can you just speak a little louder? I'm not sure if it's me or anyone else here. Can you say something?
Oh my, can you hear me now? Okay.
Can hear you now.
Hi, Farah.
Hello.
Turns out my microphone was muted separately from the software mute. Lovely. So I relate to this chapter very personally because I did this thing too. I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints when I was 19 years old, which is funny because I wasn't even born yet when Steve went on his mission. And now my my brother and his wife are going to be with us in Birmingham, and he actually served his mission in Birmingham, UK. So he's actually going to be visiting people that he knew and worked with there. I'd like to talk with you though about my progression, in kind of widening the audience of love. You see, when I was a missionary, I occurred to myself as I'm a missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm a church missionary. And as it continued, I began to relate to myself as a representative of Jesus Christ, which was very powerful for me, right? And not very powerful if Jesus Christ is not important to you. As life progressed, and this is way after my mission, I became a representative of the divine. I became one who would follow the nudge. I became one who, regardless of your belief system, including no belief system, I would see the divine in you. And what it eventually became was, I am one with love. I love the way that Becky Robbins says in her document, I am made of God. And in mine, it's, I am made of love, which those, for me, that's interchangeable language. And I just want to tell you that, share with you that this has been for me a beautiful experience of seeing and loving what is and exactly where people are and loving them where they are. My son has been dealing with some depression recently as well. And we've been, it's really interesting. It's like as a coach, I can go and help other people, no problem. And my son, it's like I can't quite see him the same way I see people who aren't my son. I was able to spend the 2 days, the last 2 days with Bill and Linda Pettit, who are who've worked with Steve and they're masters in the three principles world. And that has been just a really beautiful thing to remember, that none of us is broken. At our core, everyone is pure and unpolluted and holy and sacred and pure is the soul that looks through my eyes and your eyes and Matt's eyes and Liz's eyes. And I'm talking about other people. I'm sorry. I love you all. I love me. That's what I have to share.
Dave, thank you. That's what you are. And I just want to say it's been magical listening to you and listening to everybody else today and deepening this whole what being is for me as far as this book. As you just shared about the coaching, you can't coach someone close to you, right? And I remember this when I had years ago when I had this big mission or dream of I want to be the best courage coach in the world. And I had this amazing woman who said, you know what? Start at home. And she said, if you can make that difference at home, whatever's important for you, everything else is easy. And it's taken me this long. There were two people in my family who were watching from a distance and getting inspired and making small changes. And they committed to being coached by me. And it's very close family. And that has been so huge for me when I think about what you share. It is, we think something is difficult and then it becomes simple, right? So for me, when I listen to you and listen to this chapter, that's what's staying with me about the intensity, the passion, and what was in the end of the book, the last paragraph. Where do I bring that in every part of my life? That's what I'm staying with. So I'm looking at all the other hands up. So Maria, Anne-Marie, Liz, Wanda, Dinah, Matt, and I want to say that I would love you to stay back at the Afterglow to share. I'm looking at the time and I want to just honor everybody here and say thank you for showing up so powerfully. And I'm going to now throw the ball to beautiful Andrea to take us home.
Yay.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. What a awesome, awesome reading. Powerful. Powerful. Thank you, Alok, for reading. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. I've got an inspiration, and it's for all of us to shout out to Nigel. So if you would all take, I don't know, is it possible to take us all off mute for just for a moment, and we can say something like "I love you" to Nigel? Is that possible?
Yeah. I think Alok would like to do something, so we'll just wait for him to unmute. Oh, you're not. Okay.
No, I just want
We
to
can
record it to show my family.
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Alok, we love you, Nigel. Nigel, we love you.
We love you, young brother.
Love you, Nigel.
Power to you.
Nigel, we love you.
Love you,
We
young
are
brother.
with
Brother.
you. We are being
Brother Nigel, go.
With you. I'll be with you.
Let's go.
You are not alone, my friend.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You just stuck for the moment.
Powerful.
I love you.
Prayers,
You're more
prayers,
powerful than you
You're
know.
awesome.
Find the courage. You are the
prayers.
courage.
I love you, Nigel.
Much love.
All the way from India, sending you a big hug.
All the
Loving
way
you
from
from
Canada,
California.
sending love.
thoughts from Thailand. You'll be on my heart and on my mind, Nigel.
There you go.
Everything
you need within you.
We'll get you all set.
You are love.
Beautiful people. You're so generous. So generous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So generous. So generous.
Thank you, thank you, thank you all. There's a unicorn behind you, Alok. There's a unicorn behind you. Your niece or somebody has a unicorn, so check that out. That's magic. That's magic right there. And talking about magic and creating connection and fun, Alok. Yeah, you said about making connection magical and fun. Yeah, there's a unicorn and fun. Yeah, and magic and miracles. So there's your miracle, and we're all the miracle. We love you. And it just so happens this month, like right now, is Connection Bingo, Blessing Connection Bingo. So I named it Blessing Connection Bingo because unicorns, a group of unicorns, the one behind you, is called a blessing. And so this month is Blessing Bingo. So I closed registration at midnight, but if any of y'all on this call want to be in for this round, April, Vanessa's going to drop the link in the chat right now for you. So just join. So thank you, Alok. The blessings and miracles are all coming your way and Nigel's way. So we're just let him know. Please share the clip or whatever you want with him, and let him know that he's right where he needs to be.
The prayer I'm asking for all of you is I've struck out on day 1 and day 2. He won't even open the door. So I'm holding prayer. I'm going to go again. I'm not quitting, that he'll open the door. Then I hopefully can show him the video. Thank you, everyone. You guys are truly extraordinary humans, every one of you.
I love you.
There's magic in the number 3.
So thank you, God. Thank you, Steve Shaw. Thank you for being compassion and ease and showing us that in your leadership. I see you. I love you. And Chris Morrison for reading the Before You Begin. Push that button right now. We'll see you in Birmingham. Love you, love you, love you. So congratulations. And I'd like to acknowledge Kathy, my mod 1, she for creating the document. She got us to read our documents this morning together. Thank you for creating that creation. It's so powerful, so powerful. Thank you, Farah, for being our moderator today with grace and happiness. You are that. It's an honor to be with you. And thank you all, Team TUC. I love you, your family. You make me who I am, and I'm honored to serve with you. So, and thank you most of all to everyone in this room right now for your presence. Your loving presence is everything. And I love you all. And so I want to welcome you to the next book reading, which is on Wednesday, this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and it's chapter 8, Meeting Amy. And the guest reader is none other than our Otto, Mr. Otto and Susie Collins. So Otto, thank you for saying yes and accepting and living from your truth and being baptized in love and your big fat love, and you're already sharing your love and like more than you ever know. So we love that you said yes. So thank you, and join us this Wednesday with Otto and Susie Collins, reading chapter 8. And so announcements, we've got tons of resources for you. If you're not familiar, please check out the YouTube channel, the Ultimate Coach YouTube channel, the Ultimate Coach podcast, Ultimate Coach Instagram, Ultimate Coach LinkedIn group, Ultimate Coach newsletter, the Friday live conversations, the Ultimate Coach Extras.com. And if you want any more information or want to know more, just drop us a question in the chat. And the big one that's coming up like real soon is Birmingham. And where did my thing go? It's the Ultimate Coach. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the link. Where'd it go? Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to do it by memory. Sorry. TUBE 24. I don't know if I'm saying that right. In Birmingham, the Ultimate Coach experience in Birmingham, May 25, 26, to benefit Birmingham Children's Hospital for cochlear implants. So be here. And I think there are quite a few of us that are going to be present. I'm coming as a 5 of 5. I've been to all 4 events, so I'm coming. I'm committed to being there with you, and so I am so excited. Matt, can't wait to be with you. Chris and Tanya and Liz and Kathy and Farah and Elaine and Renata and Ralph and whoever else is coming. I don't know who all is coming. So like just can't wait to see you there. And I think it's now time for Afterglow party and your shares. So all of you that have your hands up now, Liz, Wanda, Dinah, Matt, and Maria, just hold that thought, and we're gonna go take it into the Afterglow. So let's go into the
Real
Afterglow
quick,
party.
Andrea,
We'll be off camera. Sorry, what?
Andrea, real quick before we close the call out, I'd like to just kind of switch it up for a second, and I'd like to ask Matt Effens if there's anything he would like to share with us in reference to the upcoming event in Birmingham, which we are so excited about. So if we may, I would just love to give him the floor. And Matt, is there anything you'd like to share with us?
So, is Alok still here, or is he gone?
On.
Gone. I was going to say he was brilliant to listen to. The way he read that, it was incredible. Brought it to life. Birmingham, honestly, be here. It's going to be absolutely off the charts. Everything the way this is shaping up to be is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be perfect. You know, there's been a lot of story around things that have moved, things that have shifted, and the lessons that have come from it are incredible. You know, the journey that so many people that have been involved with this thing have kind of been through, it's amazing. I genuinely will say, not from a point of just like, oh, look, I want to run a big event, whatever. Not about me. Whoever turns up in that room, you are going to just have so many shifts. I can't wait to be in the room. I genuinely cannot wait to hear everyone that we've got on that stage, because they are all absolute masters of who they're being. They know who they are. They can talk about who they are. They can talk about who they're being. You know, we've got people leading kind of off stage about who you can be. It's going to be something very special. Truly. And I just want anyone to know, if anyone wants any help with, how you get here, what you can do to be here, if people really want to get committed to being here, drop me a message. Let's talk. We are in the game of making miracles happen for people. Miracles will happen in that room, I have no doubt. Miracles happen after the room. I've had miracles happen after being in the London event, and I don't even remember the London event. So, it's going to be stunning. That's all I'll say. I'm as excited as anyone else. It's going to be one hell of a fun day. 2 days.
Let's go. I'm excited.
I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a ticket, we've dropped the link in the chat, and you can just click the link and find more about how you can purchase a ticket. If for some reason you know that you can't go, but you'd still like to gift, or you'd like to create a miracle and be involved in a miracle and getting someone to the event, whether they're coming from the States or whether they're already across the pond, and that's something that you're being nudged and called to do, please reach out to Matt, reach out to Fiona, reach out to Elizabeth Forrest, reach out to Andreas Buren, reach out. There are multiple people that you can reach out to that can direct you into the right space to be able to support and create a miracle, because we are a community that loves to create miracles. So thank you all for joining us today and creating the miracle of this call. And at this time, I'd love to invite you to please stay on for the afterglow, where additional sharing will be created, but without the video on. So thank you so much. If this is a goodbye or see you later now as well, then thank you again for joining us. We love you. See you next time.
And if you guys want to
Bye.
join us in an hour and a half, we're also going to do a Zoom for people who are going to the Birmingham event, so people can connect to get to know each other a little bit more and just learn more too. So
Perfect. Can you
join
put
us.
that in the that link in the Facebook group, or just go ahead and highlight it to the top
Yep, I will do
and
that.
pop it in the chat as well.
Awesome.
All right.
I will do that.
Thank you, everyone. Videos
Thank
are
you.
going
Thank
off
you,
now.
everybody.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Love you.